Mhm.
Yeah, I knew they went to Florida, but I haven't seen her. I thought she did a letter to the editor a couple weeks ago about those elections.
Hammer.
Yeah. I don't think the state of Michigan is ever gonna have the credibility on elections ever again. It's gonna take years, I think, for how much doubt that was.
Good afternoon. I would like to call the meeting of May 18th Board of Commissioners meeting to order. And before we start our meeting, for those that are joining in by remote attendance, I'd like to review the remote attendance instructions. And if you're joining in, log into www.zoom.us, enter meeting ID 977-6119-6006, or dial either the numbers below here, which I'll review with you. They are 1-312-626-6799 or 1-646-558-8656. And again, enter meeting ID number 977-6119-6006, then press pound, and then press pound again. If you're online, if your line is muted, press *6 to unmute. At this time, we're going to have the pledge by Commissioner Sarkella. Excuse me, the prayer by Commissioner Sarkella and the pledge by Commissioner Wyatt.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings that you bestow upon us. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve our friends and neighbors, and we ask that you be with us in our decision-making, always mindful that all good things come through you. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sarkella, for the prayer and the pledge by Commissioner Wyatt. Denise will have a roll call at this time.
District 1, Commissioner John Block.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Here.
District 4, Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Joel Wyatt.
Here.
District 2, Chairman Gary Hebron.
Here. Thank you, Denise. Moving on in our agenda today, is there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda? If none, I would entertain a motion to pass today's agenda.
So move.
Support.
There's been a motion made in support to adopt today's agenda. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Corrections to our last meeting, approval of May minutes, May 4, 2001. If there's no corrections, I'll ask for approval of minutes for May 4th through 21.
So moved.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, been a motion made in support for approval of minutes from May 4, 2001. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Approval of minutes for May 4th have been approved. Correspondence, petitions, and instructions. I believe each one of you have the blue sheet in front of you, communications dated May 18th. I won't go through and read them. If there's any questions, I'll entertain that at this time. If not, we'll move on in our agenda today. Commissioners' reports. Commissioner Wyatt, we'll start on your end today.
The last 2 weeks have not had any meetings. I've had a couple interactions with some residents regarding building department and some issues with the timeliness on the health department meeting the needs of the Worth Township residents in regards to their sewers. they're required to destroy the septic systems, the septic tanks, and the health department certifies that and sends out the permit of destruction so they can go on with the process. Worth Township's under the gun regarding the injunction from the I think it's the state of the timeliness of finishing this project, and COVID set them back in a tremendous way. And they're not really getting any information back in terms of if this can be extended. They're at a number of, I think if I recall, they've probably got about 700 more to go. So there's a significant amount to go, but they're working their way through it. And the issues with the health department and the building department seem like they've been satisfied and taken care of.
How many to go yet, Mr. Witt?
How many?
How many they still have to?
Well, they had to do something close to 1,500, and they've got that well over half done already. And it's really not sure exactly how many are being currently worked on. You can imagine the amount of contractors out there and their ability to fulfill all those needs at the last, not the last minute, but within the short period of time. It's, as you're well aware, all the contractors are booked solid doing stuff.
Thank you.
I don't have much to report. I did go out and visit the Marlette Farmers Market. They had their first one last Friday. It was good to see people out and about. They were quite busy, and if that's any indication, I'm sure that any of the festivals and markets that continue this year will probably do real well.
Sure. Commissioner Sarkella.
Just reference to what Commissioner Wyatt was talking about in Worth Township. Out of that 700, there are some that won't be done just because they're vacant lots. And then I know the BPW had considered at one point in time asking for an extension on that due to the fact that things have been getting pushed back, and we're not sure what the state is going to be telling us on that. I was able to jump in onto Port Sanilac, the village's Zoom meeting the other day, but then they're going to be done with that. They were still meeting Zoom because of construction at the Bark Shanty. And they're going ahead with their blessing of the fleet on Memorial Day, but they won't have their chicken barbecue. Water meter project is completed, so they had metered all the homes within the village, and their water project is moving forward. The paperwork's getting done to allow them to access Lexington's water, and that'll be just a great event for the process for the whole community. And their summer events are going to be scheduled. It's just a matter of what they can and can't do as far as mandates going forward. And then I had received a call regarding clarification on our resolution allowing Zoom meetings, because somehow it was interpreted that what we did meant that they couldn't meet by Zoom. And so there was some confusion there, but then they were able to do what they needed to do once I said, no, we're allowing you to meet by Zoom if you choose to do that. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Mine will be short too. I attended all but one of our, in my district, the township meetings, and always good and interesting. You can always learn something. One of the things that come up in more township meetings, some of the large dairy farmers have come across a company, I believe out of Wisconsin, George Lasecki was there, here from local. He's on their board, Moore Township, and they have a new system out. It's just coming out, and what they will do is extract the methane from these manure pits and put it into a pipeline to other states, and they get paid for it. And George is going to attend our planning commission Thursday night, explain that, and it's a very positive outlook and good for environment, and that'll get brought up at our planning committee Thursday night, so he'll be part of that. Tara and I have been working with Eva's Place. They had an issue with their sewer system, and the health department, Brian Wilkie, has been involved with that and moving forward with that. And they need to be taken care of, and so that'll be ongoing here for the next couple of days. End of my report.
So I've had some contact with some supervisors in my district. There's still the same thing we're dealing with these ARP funds with no knowledge of what we can and can't do when we're going to get it. They're dealing with the same issues. But the townships in my district, everybody's working on getting Brian on the roads and, typical springtime stuff. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Our county administrator is not with us today, but Christy Bender is with us. And so Christy, I'm going to turn this over and you are going to be the administrator report today.
Okay, so we just wanted to give a brief update on the ARPA funds, which is the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We sat in a few webinars last week. We did get a new amount, which is 7.9 million. We did get registered with the Department of Treasury to receive the funding. We should receive half of the funds sometime this month, with the balance delivered within a year. The funds will need to be returned if they're not obligated by the end of 2024 or expensed by the end of 2026. We did find out updating any infrastructure outside of water, sewer, and broadband is required to be directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We did find out the funds can be invested in interest-bearing accounts. And if we do have to return the funds, we do get to keep the interest.
What was that again?
If we do have to return the funds, we do get to keep the interest that was earned.
Oh, okay.
Reimbursements for lost revenue, that's involving really complex calculations, so there will be more directions on that to follow. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Christy? Okay, moving on to public comments pertaining to our agenda today. Is there any public comments? Okay, one thing that I have asked of our community emergency director, Todd Hillman, because it does pertain to our county, does pertain to the COVID restrictions that we're not all clear of and what my OSHA is going to bring out. And we do have a meeting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, including myself and Commissioner Wyatt is the EOC. And we got a few updates Monday on what's going on in the county with COVID, but I'd asked Todd to come in for public comments today to bring up what he thinks or possibly could happen as my OSHA brings out new guidelines. So Todd, are you on the phone now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, do you want to kind of explain? And I know you don't have all the answers yet because my OSHA hasn't come out in detail what their expectations are for the state and for the county, but you can kind of give us an update where we're at and what you think is going to come out of this.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Just to kind of give you a quick recap, and Commissioner Block, you kind of got some of this information last night from Bryant Wilkie. But as far as COVID in Sanilac County, our positivity rate is moving downward very well. Last week, we were at 16.9, about 17%. And as of last night, we were at 13. So our positivity numbers are definitely coming down. As far as our cases on a daily basis, last month in April was just a crazy month. We had a little over 1,100 positive cases. So far this month, we're at, I think it's about 100 and something right now. We're going from about 4 positive cases right now is where we're at as far as through the testing. Death-wise, we're running about 105 is where we're at. That's a sad thing, but that's what's going on. When it comes to vaccines, we're doing good in Sanilac County, actually. We're doing very well. We're just a little over 40% of the population that can get it, and that's a population from 12 and older. We have had our first 12-year-old get vaccinated just last week. So that's a good sign that some of the younger ones are looking at they need to do this to get taken care of. I guess one of the biggest things that we got going on right now is the mask mandate, which I know I've talked to Commissioner Wyatt about and some of the other ones, that where things are at, the CDC put out the guidance that if you're vaccinated, no more masks and life is good and move on. The state did adopt that ruling, but where we're kind of in a catch-22 here is because of us being an employer, we still have to follow the MyOSHA rules as far as what they're going to allow as far as masking and things like that within the workplace. So if you're not involved with the workplace, you're just out in public, you can do the mask, as you heard the CDC in the state of Michigan put out. But when it comes to the workplace, we got to wait for OSHA to make their recommendation, of which they're telling us that hopefully this week they will have their updated information pushed out to which we can make the changes and move on with whatever's going to happen. We're not real sure. We're thinking they're going to follow the guidelines pretty close, but we're not real sure where it's going to go till we actually get the document. There's been a lot of questions concerning the screening because of the mask issue. I guess we'll wait and see where that goes as far as MIOSHA is concerned as well, because the state administrators court, they're still requiring the court to be screened and masked and all that stuff. So we still got to look out for them up there. So we got to move with them as well. But as far as the screening station, there's two different versions there. I know there's two sides to every story. The masks are going away, the screening goes away. Well, there's the other side of the story that masks go away. Maybe the screening is even more important. So we're waiting to see what the guidance is out there and where it's going to go. But all in all, things are looking up for Sanilac County. I foresee activities increasing for the summer. As Roger said, he was out to the farmer's market or whatever. I see a lot of the stuff starting to kick off for the summer. So I think we're on a positive note. I'll leave it at that.
Just a quick question for you. Are you done? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope, go ahead.
So as of Saturday, you could take mask off if you're vaccinated, and that would be in public places, stores, churches, schools. How does that work? The current restrictions we have.
The current restrictions now is if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks indoors or outdoors, but there are some businesses, and they are still being allowed to say whether you wear a mask within their business or not. And then there's some that say, no, you don't need to. That is right. But according to CDC right now, and what the state of Michigan adopted is if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to have a mask on.
What about in school or the kids in high school, grade school?
Totally different program.
Okay.
Schools are governed under the masks are still in place in schools. This is strictly public access.
Any other questions for Todd?
Nope.
No. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate your input.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Next is general resolutions. And if you see on page 3, we have a resolution opposing 2021 summer property tax levy pursuant to Public Act 357 of 2004 and notice of certification of Sanilac County allocated tax rate levy. And Commissioner Ballard is going to share the resolution with us at this time.
Whereas Sanilac County is authorized under the General Property Tax Act, Public Act 206 of 1893 as amended to levy and collect county allocated property taxes. And whereas the General Property Tax Act has been amended by Public Act 357 of 2004, being MCL 211.44A, to require all Michigan counties to impose a summer property tax levy. The total number of mills allocated to the county are to be levied and collected as a summer property tax beginning in 2007. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to Public Act 357 of 2004, Sanilac County's allocated mills shall be levied and collected on July 1, 2021 at the rate allocated after application of the Headley millage reduction fraction, or 4.0482 mils. And be it further resolved that the treasurers that collect the state education tax in Sanilac County are directed to account for and deliver the total county allocated mills collected for 2020 in accordance with the provisions of Public Act 357 of 2004, and be it further resolved that this resolution constitutes certification of the levy of the county allocated mills and authorize collection of the county allocated mills on July 1, 2021, at the rate allocated after application of the Headley millage reduction fraction, or 4.0482 mils. And be it further resolved that the county treasurer shall deliver a copy of this resolution by first-class mail to the treasurers that collect the state education tax.
Okay, thank you, Roger. There's been a motion made for this resolution. I'll entertain a support. Support by Commissioner Sarkella. Any questions, concerns? Denise?
Commissioner Black,
Yes.
Commissioner Sarcella,
Yes.
Commissioner Valley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Chairman Heberlin.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passed. The resolution's been approved by the Board of Commissioners on this day. Next on our agenda is committee reports. And I'll start with my committee reports. As most of you commissioners have seen, and I believe it's going to be advertised in the paper due to shortage at the recycle department. I'm on that committee staff right now. And also we are starting the new cold storage building that been approved some time ago. We are shutting down for, I believe, a week to get that taken care of, get some help in and get our building on its way. Also, the Sanilac County Planning Commission is meeting this Thursday for our monthly meeting, which Commissioner Block and I serve on that. And we are looking at changing I shouldn't say changing, updating our ordinance for the Sanilac County Planning Commission. And this week we're having three special speakers come in, or guests. One is George Lasaki here from Sandusky's part of Moore Township Board. And as I said earlier, the large dairy farms are looking at a new process that looks very inviting and very beneficial to not only our environment, but to those farmers. He'll be speaking on that. George has brought that up a couple times at the Moore Township meetings. It's been very well accepted. Also, Mike Moore from the Drug Task Force will be coming and talking to us about the commercial grow of marijuana, I guess cannabis now, to look at the do's and don'ts, what to implement, what not to. And also Lisa Kenny is going to come and talk to us. Her husband serves on our planning commission board. She's worked extensively with ordinances for townships and different organizations. We've asked her to come and speak and give us some guidance. So this meeting is open to anyone in the public. And I know in my districts, each meeting I've been to the last couple of weeks, I've invited each township to be part of that because some of our ordinances, we want to follow with their ordinance and vice versa. So, end of my report. Bill, we'll start with you.
The pension board met this previous week via Zoom. Christy oversees putting that together and does an excellent job. Allows us to get in and out. Our funds have done very well. And there's an equity cap on one side of the investment portfolio, not anything above it. And it just seems to keep growing. They shift that money over to the bond sector. And our manager's doing a really good job in handling all of our obligations with the pension fund.
Mr. Ballard?
I attended the Michigan Works meeting Friday in Lapeer. We didn't have a quorum, but we were able to discuss general things. They are working up to having walk-ins and appointments on January 7th. Some of the offices will actually have security. They had a couple of incidents in the past few months at some of the bigger offices, people upset about their unemployment, and kind of tie the two together. So they will have security, but they're looking forward to getting back and going. And I will be starting up again with my township meetings. I kind of took a break with my wife's COVID and my eye surgery. And so
Sure.
I've got Buell tonight and Peck tomorrow and Elmer Thursday night. So.
Mr. White?
Chairman Heberling, Personnel Committee met a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. The first time was May 4th, prior to our last Board of Commissioners meeting. There were some recommendations the Personnel Committee put forward. One of them being that
the construction and land use, move forward with the posting of a building inspector vacancy. And that request is on our finance and administration today, as well as the personnel committee recommending the request to hire a part-time sorter. That also is on today's FNA meeting. The position of assistant prosecutor, they had a person leave suddenly. So they're down a position in the prosecutor's office. That too was recommended to be put forward to the FNA today. There was a request for an additional IT specialist. Met with Nancy Rich, had a long conversation about the needs of the county as we move forward, in particular with the announcement from the judge early in the year where the courts are going to be changing their IT requirements and need additional staffing to help with that. So in that anticipation, we're recommending that we put on a full-time IT staff. That will be on the FNA today. Let's see what else we have. We met with Mr. Jim Bowerman, former commissioner, current board member of Parks. On that day, he came back on a Friday following that meeting, and we met on the 7th and discussed the following. We said that we recommended amending some job descriptions. You'll see it in your notes here, and the hiring of a couple of positions with the Parks, which will be on the finance and administration meeting today as well. Since then, I guess there's some new issues cropped up regarding some of the job descriptions. I think we'll probably discuss that with finance and administration on that today. Let's see, that's Broadband Committee. So the Broadband Committee, we had a meeting a couple weeks ago. The Rural Development, Rural Development Opportunity Fund is a federal fund that offered up portions of the country for broadband initiatives. They had an auction. There were 3 major companies that bid and won allocation of certain parts of Sand Lake. It's comprised probably of roughly 85 to 90% of Sand Lake is covered by these 3 companies. And they're required to put in broadband internet that's fully accessible to those residents with the speeds of 25 down and 3 up within the next 6 years. So the Thumb Electric Cooperative in the northern part, they're doing that area up there. They're utilizing what they know best really is they'll be hanging wires for the most part. And Mercury and AEG will be doing the rest of the county. And it sounds like they'll be pushing fiber for the most part. And once they're done within the next 6 years, it's expected that almost 90% of Sand Lake will have accessible broadband internet with speeds that are considered by the FAA or FCC rather as being the minimum, I guess. There was a what do you call it? Announcement in news that was submitted to Mr. Levine. We also discussed with the opportunity that's coming with the ARPA funding, where it can be utilized for infrastructure, broadband initiatives. But the money to be spent, it would be difficult for us to spend it in a way that covered the full breadth of Sand Lake County in a relatively equal way. Right now, the projects are mostly covered by these 3 independent contractors. And so within 6 years, it'll be done without the intervention on any funding on our front end. And if we were, it wouldn't result in any changes as to how they're moving along and the pace that they're moving along. Did have a conversation with a broadband supplier that's doing a project in Melvin, but they too are pushing forward with a project in Melvin that they're already they're working on it. It'll be done within 2 years. Again, not a good opportunity for us to invest any ARPA funds, it seems like at this time. So when we started this broadband committee a year and a half ago, none of these were on the horizon. There certainly weren't any American Recovery Plan Act, and there wasn't an RDOF going on that we were aware of. So this group got together with the broadband suppliers and tried to figure out a way that we can utilize the county in addition with the private contractors to help facilitate bringing broadband to the county. And we had a couple of plans that we were moving forward on, but with the development of the RDOF auction and the subsequent developments that they'll be putting in within this timeframe, there doesn't seem to be a real good opportunity for us as a county to help and to assist any further with this. So what I'm saying is that I would suggest that we eliminate the Satellite Broadband Committee. It served its purpose. The survey was done by the organization that we contracted to help us out do that. It gleaned some really good information that will be utilized by those agencies as they're working in Satellite County. So there was an advantage there that will be passed along to those three companies. But in terms of moving forward with the Broadband Committee, I personally don't feel the need to continue having an official committee and to move forward, that we would terminate that committee.
Two questions. One is 6 years seems like a long time, but 6 years goes by in a hurry. And because I know the northern part of Satellite County is mostly affected by not having broadband. But you mentioned that and give us direction we may want to dissolve the broadband committee. How would we have any communication oversight what's going on in our county if we dissolve that committee?
Well, I don't believe the committee was brought in originally to have oversight as much as it was, what's the word?
Push the
Investigative, research and things like that. Thumb Electric Cooperative is in the northern part, and they vowed that they'll be done within 4 years. That was in the news, I know, and they talked about they're pushing forward pretty rapidly, mostly because they have the infrastructure already hung on poles essentially to move forward with that at a rapid pace. As far as our part, as far as the Board of Commissioners and as a representative of the Board of Commissioners on that committee, I'm not sure there's much more that we're going to be able to do. I had a conversation in the last meeting with several of the ISP, internet service providers that function in this area. And they're more than happy to take funding from us to utilize for projects they're already doing, but they're already doing projects. They're already doing them. They're not saying with this kind of funding, we can do these other types of projects that will move faster. So for that reason, since the private companies are already pushing forward with a plan, and because of the RDOF funding, it's moving that a little faster. I would say that we don't have I want to say a set purpose, but at this time, there doesn't seem to be anything for us to help facilitate or even oversee, really. Because these are private corporations that are working.
Sure.
I know the municipal.
That's the way it should work, really. That's the way it should work.
The townships are the ones, though, that have that oversight, right? What's going on in their townships. Now, we could be maybe a liaison of sorts, with the townships if they felt that that was something they'd like us to do, but we can do that without having a formal broadband committee, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Commissioner Wyatt, and your committee. I think it was a very positive thing. I think you've come back and give us some very thorough reports on how it's happening, when it's happening. And I think it was a good committee to put in place at that time. And I think it helped generate awareness here in our county, how it's going to be done, when it's going to be done. So I thank you and your committee. You've done a great job.
Okay.
Commissioner Black.
Chairman Hurley, I don't have anything extra that wasn't already discussed.
Okay, thank you. Them are good reports, the short ones, right? All right, moving on to new business, and I'm going to turn this back over to Commissioner Block, and we'll start with FA 085-21, budget adoption, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
We should, FA 084-21.
Oh, wait a minute, I jumped ahead, sorry.
Yeah,
I jumped ahead one page. FA 084-21, approval of 2021 current claims.
The Satellite County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2021 identified on the accounts payable report dated May 11th, 2021 for the general bank account in the amount of $97,802.85.
Entertain the support.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
then motion made and support for FA 084-21 approval of 2021 current claims. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is FA 08521 budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
The St. Louis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments, transfers, and establishes the following accounts as follows.
Support.
Have been motion made and support for FA 08521. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA 086-21, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to April 2021.
The St. Louis County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to April 2021 as follows.
Support. Oh,
Have been a motion made and support for FA 086-21. Any questions? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA 087-21, authorization and award bid to purchase vehicles, Sheriff's Office.
The St. Louis County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes and awards the bid to Signature Ford for 2021 Police Interceptor Utility All-Wheel Drive to be assigned to the Uniform Services Division at a cost of $37,041, and 2021 Ford Police Interceptor Utility All-Wheel Drive to be assigned to the Corrections Division at a cost of $35,706, with funding of 75% reimbursement from the approved USDA Rural Development Grant Fund and 25% from the Commissary Fund.
support.
Have been a motion made and support. Any questions?
Any idea on time frame for delivery?
Lieutenant Smith, are you on?
Yep, I can speak to that partially anyway. So the current cars that we just ordered here a month or so ago were scheduled to be delivered in July. However, there might be a delay because of the Ford has their microchip shortage. So we may be in the fall before we see any of the vehicles.
You'll be back, if this is the fall we receive it, you'll be back to have a motion here to buy accessories for the vehicle, I assume, right?
Correct, for the original 4 and then for these grant vehicles as well. I'm trying to work with Signature Ford to get an idea when we get closer to at least try to get the equipment ordered closer to when we're going to get them so we don't see any increases in prices.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Smith. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All the same, opposed? Motion passed. Next is FA 088-21, acceptance of authorization of recommendation from Municipal Consulting Service LLC, Parks Commission.
The St. Louis County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts and authorizes the classification analysis completed by Municipal Consulting Services LLC for the county parks positions as follows: seasonal parks caretaker maintenance and parks clerk pay grade 1, full-time parks maintenance supervisor and full-time parks manager pay grade 5, and the full-time parks manager 2 pay grade 6. Further, to recommend authorizing the wages that were set out of sequence and out of line with county policy for Raphael Mata, Mike Titus, Helen Stefan, and Joseph Bradley be frozen until such time as they catch up to the pay grade 1, step 3.
Support.
Okay, been a motion passed and support. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. FA 089-21, award bid and authorization of payment for removals of trees, Parks Commission.
The St. Louis County Board of Commissioners hereby awards the low bid to Billy's Tree Service LLC for the purpose of removing fallen and dead trees from the beach and bluff area located on the north side of Lexington Park, and further authorizes payment of $5,200 with funding from the Parks millage.
Support.
Okay, been a motion made and supported. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is NFA 024-21, adoption of the 2021 taxable value report equalization.
The San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the 2021 taxable value report of $1,695,379,502 for the San Luis County as presented, and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary documents and the equalizing director to implement.
There's been a motion made and supported for the adoption of 221 taxable value report. And as you can see, each of you commissioners, a report by Wendy Willie, the next few pages, and somebody take a look at that. Any other further questions? Concerns? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Moving on in our agenda, number 19, our agenda, public comments. We'll open this up to any public comments at this time.
I did have one more thing. I wasn't aware that if any of you have looked at the listing for where the ARP funding is supposed to be going, I believe Denise had found a list for us from MSU. And ironically enough, villages were omitted from that list. So we have townships, cities, and counties getting funding, but no villages. So I reached out to Congresswoman Lisa McLean's office, and they did some research for us. And it came back that they are saying the money is supposed to be coming through the state for the villages. And so now I reached out to Dan Lowers and Andrew Beeler and have not heard back from them. Because I think I just believe it's something, I mean, I only have a couple of villages in my district, but I know there's a lot of villages around the county that if we could stay ahead of the game a little bit, once we get information to be able to say, because I know for us, we had to register, basically you got to sign up to be able to get the funding. So if they have funding coming, we certainly need to let them know how they can go about it. And I've also told the villages that I work with that you need to reach out to our representatives too, and just say,
Absolutely.
what's going on with this. So if any of you at the same time might be thinking, just send them an email or a note and say, can you tell us how
They
this
were
proceeds?
understanding that was taken care of, that the villages were included.
Yeah, they're not in the list.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. Well, Commissioner Sakala, we appreciate your proactive approach with this, because obviously we want our villages to be included. I'll just add one thing here for public comment. 2 weeks ago, we passed a resolution for revenue sharing coming back from the state. I know Denise has sent that letter to the people at the state level. I've also reached out to Andrew Beeler and to Dan Lowers, and making sure they understand we're looking for their support. And I just talked to Denise before a meeting, and she had not heard back from them. So if you decide or think it's a good idea to call Andrew Beeler and Dan Lower, I think that'd be a great idea. We'd like to get that money back here.
We'll be in town, I think, coming up, it's coming up weekend,
Yeah, I believe so.
family dinner.
Yeah.
Being face to face with asking. Face to mask.
All right, any other public comments? All right, there's no need for closed session, no need for approval of closed session, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So.
Motion made, support made. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.